And now I'd like to introduce our moderator for this session, Wade Nomura. Wade is the Cadre Regional Organizer for North America, past Cadre Technical Coordinator for Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene, and on the Cadre Long-Term Planning Committee. Wade is also the Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene Rotary Action Group Operations Chair-elect and Technical Officer, which liaises between the Cadre and Rotary Action Group. For Handwash Haiti, which is the Haiti National Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene Initiative, he is the Project Support Chair. Wade, welcome.
Great, thank you, Lauren, and welcome everybody. We got quite a crew here. I see a lot of people from a lot of different countries. I'm Wade Nomura. I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Carpentry and Morning in California, and also past district governor for 5240. Finding the right project partners and resources to carry out these projects is essential. I'm thrilled to be joined by two people that have extensive experience in this area, Hawa Abbas and Sue Paget. Hawa is from Abuja, Nigeria, as a past assistant governor, international service chair for District 9125, board member for Rotary Action Group on Mental Health Initiatives, and a Rotary Foundation cadre of technical advisors. Welcome, Hawa.
Thank you, Wade. Hi, everybody. Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. I'm delighted to be on this panel. It's an honor to be able to share my experiences as well as learn from others.
Thank you, Hawa. We also have with us Sue Paget. Sue is from Cape Town, South Africa, is the global CEO for the Rotary Action Group of Family Health and AIDS Prevention. Welcome, Sue.
Thank you, Wade and Lauren. And hello, everyone. I'm Sue Paget, the CEO of the Rotary Action Group for Family Health and AIDS Prevention, commonly referred to as RIFA. RIFA is a global Rotary Action Group and mobilizing partner for Rotary International, dedicated to disease prevention and treatment across Africa and India. Our signature program is called the Rotary Family Health Days. Finding opportunities to effectively partner and leverage resources for projects is a big role I play as CEO, and I'm so excited to be part of this webinar and share my thoughts and RIFA's best practice on this platform.
Thank you, Sue. It's a privilege to have both of you sharing your knowledge and practical experience with us. I'm sure that attendees will appreciate how we put this team together, because you'll see it is completely international. We have a very good showing of international in this panel. Thank you, Hao and Sue. This 5-part series is designed to support you as you develop effective projects that will create a sustainable impact in your communities and around the world. These webinar tools offer the strategies to help you plan, find resources for, implement, and evaluate your projects. Today, we'll be discussing the topics of finding project partners and resources. And if you missed the first or second webinar, you can watch these recordings shared in the chat. This will take you to the Rotary Membership Vimeo page. Through our conversations, we hope that you will, 1, identify the benefits of working with project partners and securing different kinds of resources. 2, determine how to find partners and resources. 3, understand how to define roles, responsibilities, and expectations. So what are these benefits in working with project partners? Let's get started. Project partners consider a collaborating organization who have a key role in the project. Examples include Rotary clubs, Rotaract clubs, community members from the benefiting community, community organizations, local governments, healthcare groups, and corporations. So what are the benefits of working with partners, especially when it comes to service? Sue, I'd like to give you a first chance at responding to that.
Thank you, Wade. Very important points. In our experience, project partners play an integral role behind the success of any project. The benefits of working with project partners means drawing on additional external expertise, which enables the creation of a program of scale, which in turn supports the impact of our activities to achieve our results. Our action group has developed a strong community-based public-private partnership model that enables us to execute our large-scale national health campaigns to deliver free healthcare services to underserviced communities. I'm happy to share how this works today. In each country of operation, as you can see on the visual on your screens, we work with Rotary International clubs and districts, governments, private sector, NGOs, and media partners, and of course, the community that we serve. RIFA, the action group, is the convener. We are the partner that holds it all together. It's a bit like building a puzzle, I think. Each partner is selected from a country or community needs assessment where gaps are identified. From this, we then seek out the different skill sets that help us to deliver on that need. For example, Rotarians can provide volunteerism and community leadership, but they don't necessarily have all the technical skills needed on the ground. Partners come on board to donate their peculiar expertise to create the whole, and this can be through funding, advisory expertise, donation of resources, media or community engagement. And in this way, we are able to create a whole picture that builds scale and impact within communities. It is important for each partner to have a defined role and clear set of responsibilities. This ensures that no one competes. And we have found it important to take the time to create and sign agreed letters of intent or memoranda of understanding to clear these definitions. The Rotary Family Health Day program is executed for the community, in the community, by the community, with RIFA as the convener. All of this takes time. We work on an 18-month timeline to put the partnership model together in each country to define, communicate, and execute. It is not a quick process, and it takes time to build up trust and strong communication between all partners. However, I'm sure you can add more to this.
Thank you very much, Sue. You are definitely right. Conducting a successful partnership does take a lot of time and planning. Project partners need to increase their manpower by selecting good volunteers across board. Volunteer hours are very important and instrumental to Rotary's projects. Rotary clubs should always work formally with the local government to ensure that their activities are recognized and included in the government's annual reports, as this increases the sustainability of the project. We can work with the police, religious groups, traditional groups also should not be left out. We need to start utilizing Rotary Community Corps as partners. Rotary Community Corps members are in the community and on the ground, helping to build trust and ownership in the communities. RCC bridges Rotarians to the communities because sometimes we can be seen as outsiders or part of the government structure. This will help us to build relationship with the community gatekeepers, such as the chiefs, the women leaders, and the youth leaders. So you did mention needs assessments. Now imagine the impact of your project when you include part of the beneficiaries from the planning stage to the end of the project. This would definitely build the sustainability of the project. Now, an example of this is, when I was involved in a project with Rotarians, we had to go to a community and we wanted to give them water. We were so excited after drilling and discovered water by a huge tree in the village square. Unfortunately, the elders did not share in our excitement. They refused the borehole. Apparently, the tree provided shade during their evening meetings. Working with the RCC, we were able to quickly come to a solution and move the borehole location to the government primary school. Now, without this RCC, the outcomes could have been different and they could have also taken longer. Another example is a recent partnership by all the districts in Nigeria, partnering with the Peace Institute of Nigeria and the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, all 4 districts in Nigeria came together to build a peace project, where they were trained as domestic observers for the general election. Now, this is the first of its kind for Rotary globally.
Thank you both, by the way, for excellent examples. Clearly, there are many benefits in working with partners, including your project being sustainable because the community, both as local experts and volunteers, are involved with the delivery and development of these projects. So where should we look for these partners and resources? Now that we understand the benefits of partners, where can we find them? As it turns out, there really is no shortage of these partners, especially within these communities. We just now had a chance to look to see where to find them. Let's first hear from District 5930 International Service Chair, Member and Technical Officer for the Rotary Action Group on Refugees, Forced Displacement, and Migration, and Cadre Technical Advisor, Elaine Hernandez.
An African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Let's examine how Rotary members can develop effective partnerships to leverage resources and create sustainability for our community service projects at home and abroad. All projects funded by the Rotary Foundation begin with a community needs assessment. The question is, who can help us with this assessment? One answer is the academic sector. Look to your local colleges and universities to find professors who would like to engage their students in real-life projects that apply their knowledge gained through the courses being taught. Examples are schools of social work, public health, or business and economics. Students can conduct surveys of local communities, holding focus groups and writing up findings that identify the needs and priorities of the targeted beneficiaries. The students contribute to developing our project proposal, and they receive academic credit, creating a win-win situation. Another important sector is referred to as local authorities. These are government offices that are responsible for public safety, public health, public education, and economic development at the local level. Depending on the area of focus of the project proposal, it is important to consult with local officials representing the municipality, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, or Workforce Development. These officials also have goals and needs to which we can align our project. They also may have data and reports that could help to justify our project. And they become the anchoring institution that will sustain the program after we conclude our project. The other important sectors of society are the private sector and the nonprofit sector. Organizations from these sectors are often members of local chambers of commerce. Chambers of commerce offer networking opportunities for its members to conduct business or promote causes. By engaging these sectors in our projects, we also strengthen sustainability of our project by helping to identify future funding opportunities which could be provided by these private and non-governmental organizations. The final sector of potential partnerships can be found in the faith-based sector of the community. Churches, synagogues, temples, and mosques are often working to address local needs such as poverty, hunger, homelessness, disease, or illiteracy. Aligning our project work to this sector also helps to lead to sustainability of our investment. In conclusion, our Rotary clubs can develop new partnerships with its community that will lead to more effective and sustainable projects, new leads to growing club membership, and new platforms to tell our Rotary story. So reach out to the different sectors of your community today. Together, we will go farther. Thank you.
Excellent video. Thank you, Elaine. Elaine just gave us 4 great ideas on where to find these partners for your project. Now, I hope you wrote those down. How, Sue, let's hear from you on that same question, finding partners and leveraging those resources for projects. How?
Hi, Wade. Okay, so when we think about where to find a partner, we must take advantage of working with different age groups from the Rotary family to enrich our programs. Think Interact, think Rotaract, think RILA, and any of our programs. Let me share an example of a Rotaract project. A few years ago, we worked on a Rotaract project with a school for a road traffic project. These types of projects are also good for building future leaders by getting them involved in community service. The school was our partner, and so was the Federal Road Safety Corps. The children were educated on road and traffic safety, and the Interact board's leadership was built. Another example is from the Rotary Club of Abuja Metro. Years ago, they were partnering with their schools and their Interact clubs to involve them in their polio activities. The children got to learn, ask questions, and became polio advocates that would take back the message home. In leveraging resources, we must learn to understand the power of mainstream and social media as a great tool, although a lot of clubs don't use it. Rotary Club social media platforms, newsletters, and websites can attract many project partners by sharing our stories and our impact. Clubs with older demographics can seek Rotaractors or external consultants to build their virtual presence, which is really essential. Sue, what are your thoughts?
Thanks, Howard. I think you've highlighted some really important points. And elaborating on some of those, I would say that involving Rotaract and Interact members during our Rotary Family Health Days has benefited our program enormously. They're a vital resource and come with energy and expertise, especially around IT and social media. In fact, in recent feedback from a pilot program that we're planning for Tanzania, we've heard that Rotaractors have literally saved the day with their enthusiasm and reach into the communities. As an action group, RIFA works within Rotary resources, structures such as global grants for funding, but we also have built external resource mobilizations through working the public-private partnership. It's very important that partners have some skin in the game. Social media, as Howard has said, is another brilliant tool to put the word out about your project, get people involved, and catch the interest of potential partners. We've been using social media for quite some time now in communities to share updates about the program, and it certainly does bring the attention of many clubs and other external resources who wish to learn or partner with us for future projects. It's also helpful, of course, to be able to refer to an up-to-date website if the project or program has one. Another effective way we have found is to use resources like Rotary Showcase, as well as club and district newsletters. These platforms certainly get messages to the Rotary family. When we get local Rotary clubs involved in a health day, they help us with deciding on which communities need our services the most. This is done in collaboration with all community stakeholders. Since they know the communities closely, partnering with them helps us to allocate resources effectively. Lastly, RIFA has found that participating in project fairs, either virtually or in person, has certainly exposed the partnerships and our program to assist in making that. And I think that COVID has shown us over the last few years how important that face-to-face exposure is and in making things happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue, and thank you, Hawa. These are both great insights into using Rotary's contacts and opportunities. You've also highlighted the importance of publicizing your project plan to find partners in funding and through various other communication channels. Another communication channel that you may want to consider using is the Rotary Showcase, which is supported by Rotary International and allows clubs to post online to find partners and resources. Let's take a look at other resource potentials. What other resources should be considered beyond financing when planning a project? Sue, I'm going to start with you with that question.
Well, apart from financing, material, equipment, people, management, developing of structures, and developing a strong communication system to keep everyone aligned. This is not easy and it takes time. Time, of course, is a resource we often underestimate. Volunteer time, planning, and execution time. We need to factor these into the planning from the get-go. These resources mentioned above are essential components that one needs to plan for and allocate before the start of the project. Otherwise, delivering the project effectively and achieving high-quality results is impossible. For example, RIFA has developed a robust monitoring and evaluation system together with the South African Ministry of Health, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and internal Rotary expertise. This has enabled us to collect data at each of our health interventions. We also conduct exit interviews and 3-month impact studies so that we can track linkage to care. It is vital and valuable that this resource can prove impact, and it assists in measuring our sustainability as a program. It is just one of many components that needs planning and resources to develop and maintain. Again, Howard, over to you. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Sue. So I would like to emphasize on the fact that you said we do underestimate the time it takes to plan a project. In this, I want to say to all Rotarians to think checklists. When you are planning programs, checklists are really important for you to be able to plan yourself, structure yourself, and it does really save time. Planning and using checklists makes us understand who is responsible for what. I would like to expand again on time as a resource by using specific tools for planning. As Sue mentioned again, we always underestimate the time that is required. The Rotary Learning Center is a good place to start building capacity and understanding of project planning. A huge resource is identifying local NGOs with similar visions and missions to the project that you're planning. Building relationships is important. Technical support can never be overestimated. As Rotarians, we also need to plug into existing government projects. Most times, Rotary clubs can benefit from in-kind donations to support their projects. For example, if you have a club that has partnership with a health facility or a government school, you can reach out to companies that sell paint or other building materials to support renovations. Now, renovations are so important for primary healthcare centers and schools, and you can get in-kind support to help improve your budget planning and reduce the amount of money you have to fundraise. This partnership can build morale as well. Now, imagine renovating a school or a primary healthcare center. You're building the morale of those that are working in that facility. You're building the morale of the patients that are coming into that facility. You're building the morale of the students that are going to those schools. How amazing can that be?
Thank you, Sue and Hawa. Those are both great points you highlighted, including the addition of resources which you should take into consideration when we are planning these projects, including time. You both emphasized a lot on the time factor. Resources could also include people who have knowledge and leadership, existing services, natural resources, and infrastructure. So how can Rotary project planning resources assist Rotary members in planning these projects? As we all know, service projects, no matter how small, take a lot of time and effort to be successful. Rotary has a number of project planning resources available for members to use when planning projects, and they're free. In fact, Sue, Hawa, and I are members of some of these very resources, and yes, we work for free too. So how can Rotary project resources assist Rotary members when planning these projects? Let's first hear from current Rotary Foundation trustee chair of the Rotary Foundation Cadre of Technical Advisors and my boss, Marcelo Haig.
The biggest challenge in designing a project is related to the community assessment. Imagine that your club identified the possibility of improving the learning quality in a school by updating the computer system, using an educational software, and training teachers. Based on this definition, the responsible and their team must design the project cycle with the resources engagement. There is often a question about how to identify partners and resources. We recommend starting this process with volunteers from the Roast Club and International Sponsor Club. In this case, we must identify members with experience in education, information technology, and training. Another resources approach is related to project management competences and skills, such as planning, execution, time management, budget, and financial control, monitoring, and reporting. Still in Rotary, we recommend getting in touch with the Rotary Action Groups, the RAGs, the Rotary Foundation Cadre of the Technical Advisors, and District International Committee Chairs, the DISCs. Other partners are non-Rotarian participants, such as universities, public authorities, and foundations. A key aspect of non-Rotary partnerships relates to learning to work in teams with different organizational cultures. Organizational culture is the collection of values, expectations, and practices that guide and inform the action of all team members. For this integration, we should develop an alignment of the participants of vision, purpose, and goals. The critical factors to develop a quality project is to implement a collaborative and creative team, Rotarian and non-Rotarian technical resources, and implement a learning scenario so that we can assist an efficient planning project process to clubs and districts. Thank you.
That was great. Marcelo just named a number of project planning resources that Rotary members have access to through the Rotary family. Don't take these resources for granted, though. I think it's important that we realize there are a number of technical experts and members knowledgeable in these projects and project development that would be able to help your club out, your club specifically, with these projects. Sue, Hawa, what suggestions do you have? Hawa, we'll start with you first.
Thank you, Wade. As our boss said, cadre technical advisors are essential for project planning. Now, cadre technical advisors cover all areas of focus and are available to provide directions for projects. During my time as the district chair for community service a few years ago, my district governor approved simple templates I created for clubs for reporting, budgeting, and more recently this Rotary year as the district international service chair, I created a handbook with my team for clubs using Rotary resources to support grant applications and DISC resources. Now we need to think exploring working with DISC more and the Rotary Foundation committees to clarify if your club is eligible for DDF, that's District Designated Fund. How much is available in your district for DDF? What is the eligibility criteria? How many clubs are missing out on the opportunity to benefit from DDF? Also, let's think exploring partnerships with sister clubs. For example, your club can partner with another club to co-sponsor a Rotary club, an Interact club, or an RCC club to build stronger teams for your host communities. Our Rotary Action Group Mental Health Initiative, RAGMI, created the Wellbeing in the Box toolkit that introduces a protocol for referrals and a depression awareness curriculum for youth groups and school ages. The outcomes are improved knowledge, attitude, and confidence in help seeking and sharing. This change is measured through surveys before and after. Now, my action group has helped bring partners and funds to Nigeria, to the US, and most recently, the project was replicated in India with a global grant funding to teach and train teachers with the skill of school counseling. How great is that? We're missing out on so many opportunities that are available on Rotary platforms. Over to you, Sue.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you, Howard. Not only are there incredible resources as mentioned, but Rotary action groups like ours have often developed additional resource material relevant to their program. For example, countries that host our Rotary Family Health Days have access to training manuals, media, communications and branding manuals, checklists, reporting templates, and of course the monitoring and evaluation tools mentioned earlier. These have been developed over the last 11 years' experience as best practice. Not only is it important for organizations to provide the standardization, but it is a huge help and time saver to clubs, districts, and countries when engaging with us all to execute a particular program or project. As action groups, we are all mandated to have representation from a Rotary International cadre member on our board of directors who guides us in his or her particular area of expertise. This in turn filters down to club and district level. As Rotarians generally, I don't think that we utilize or even know enough about what is available out there. This is why a webinar such as this is so invaluable.
Thank you, Sue, and thank you, Iowa. You've heard many great resources that Rotary members can tap into. We'll also share this information with you at the close of this webinar with the follow-up materials. Now that we know who we need to recruit, how we coordinate those efforts. In order to ensure our partnerships and projects are successful, we must make sure and set up in place them for success. How do we effectively define and carry out project roles, responsibilities, and expectations with our partners? Sue.
Thanks, Wade. So, reflecting on some of the points about public-private partnerships that we discussed initially, I would say that it is like completing that puzzle. Firstly, identify through consultation and a gap analysis what skills or resources are needed and follow the science data. It's the old story of who, what, when, and how. Public-private partnerships are hard to manage, but complex challenges need partnership. Governments and NGOs rely on the private sector, not only for intellectual and in-kind support, which is time and talent, but also sometimes for funding, which is treasure. They provide, however, the public-private partnership, a platform for innovation, acceleration, scale-up, reach and coverage, filling of gaps, identifying targets and impact, and create sustainability by creating lasting solutions that must be rooted in the community and driven by the community. Public-private partnerships require leadership, respect, and trust, especially within the community, as well as effective community stakeholder engagement. This, in our experience, is why having a convening partner is essential, somebody needs to manage the partnership through solid but not rigid leadership. Leaning on previous lessons learned, we have found that a mix of funding sources is essential, and I spoke to this earlier. It is not good to have all your eggs in one basket. Partnerships must be dynamic. They will change and move, and your structure needs to be flexible to accommodate this. Rotarians and communities must work consistently together through defined structures from start to finish. This is the secret sauce that holds it together. Communities see themselves in the work. Communication, of course, is key. And never forget, Rotary is an iconic and trusted brand, and that carries huge weight when structuring your project or program. I'm not sure what your thoughts are, Howard.
Thank you, Sue. I do want to emphasize what you did say, which is community impact is essential and communication is key. Now, in this, we have to create communication channels. Technology has made it easier for us nowadays. I know most people are not fans of WhatsApp, myself included, but it does provide a platform that carries all partners and stakeholders along, including community members. Remember that the project should be driven by the host communities. Feedback from community members should be taken into account at all times, and the project should carry all stakeholders from inception to the end. Again, clear communications helps with updates, feedback, and does build trust. Trust is essential throughout the project and essential throughout the progress of the project and essential throughout the success of the project. Rotarians are professionals. We need to ensure we imbibe the same skills we use to make us effective at work during our Rotary activities. Now, we can start by creating terms of references, which is TORs, which will help set expectations and constrain the scope for all stakeholders to be aware of their responsibilities and the timeline the responsibilities should be delivered.
Great. Thank you both. As you both noted, it's important to discuss and agree upon in writing expected roles and responsibilities. We want to ensure and keep volunteer community members, partners, funding organizations, and anyone else who has a stake in the project up to date with clear communications. And don't forget to ask people for all those groups for feedback on how to improve the project implementation while remaining focused on the outcomes and the final goals. There are a number of ways to find partners for projects. Sue and Howard referenced different ways clubs can find partners for their projects during this webinar. Here are a more extensive list of how to find partners. But we also want to hear from you. Add to the chat ways your club have found project partners, and we will add those to the resource list after this webinar. We've also referenced a number of Rotary project planning resources during this webinar, including the cadre of technical advisors, Rotary action groups, District International Service Chairs, and the Rotary Corporations. Here is a list of Rotary project planning resources available to clubs and their websites for more information on how to get in touch with them. We will also provide more information on these resources after the webinar. Okay, it's your turn now for questions. Some of these questions were submitted in advance and some have come in during this webinar. You can use the chat function to submit your questions now. And before it gets too crazy, I'm going to hand this over to Lauren.
Great. Thanks so much, Wade. And thank you, Sue and Hawa, for sharing your insightful experience with us. We do have a number of questions relating to this topic. So Wade, let's start with a question for you. And the question is, how do you identify different partners for projects?
Thank you, Lauren. I guess that was payback for handing it to you first. Majority of the partners should come from local resources. Community assessments include not just needs, but also the assets. The more you can secure locally, the more likely you will have sustainability because these resources are usually available locally and not from an international partner's physical location. Take, for example, health education. Having materials implemented and done by local resources means they are available, first of all. Also, they're developed with local traditions and customs considered, and usually have more effective ways of delivering these lessons. The same is true for components. Using labor and paying for their services instead improves the local economy, trains locals on how the systems work, so they could have a better understanding, not only for maintaining the systems, but also for repairs. And it gives them ownership of the project.
Thanks, Wade. Really important points of how to invest in a locally driven project. So another question we have, Hawa, we'll give this one to you. What are ways to ensure a project continues to be host and community driven despite the various partners that may be brought into a project?
Thank you, Laura. That's a great question. Now, I have been emphasizing on involving all stakeholders. We have to create an inclusive team with the young, the old, both the men and the women. Where possible, include all the Rotary family. As I said earlier on, think Rotaract, think Interact, think Rota Kids, think Rotary Community Corps. These partnerships will help build a rich and robust team in the host communities that will again build sustainability after the Rotarians have left. Now, also, you have to create a safe environment that ensures opinions are respected. That we are Rotarians does not mean that we know it all. That we are Rotarians does not mean that we should not listen to those that we are trying to benefit in their communities. We also need to start encouraging storytelling within the communities. This will forge a greater sense of pride, ownership, and trust. We should also think about planning projects with recognitions for special contributions from community members. Again, if you do not have a Rotaract club, an Interact club, RCC club, this is the time to start thinking about building partnership with a sister club to be able to co-chatter or co-sponsor one of these. This would definitely help build the continuity in the community and ensure your projects are more sustainable.
Thanks so much, Hawa. I really like the word that you used, inclusivity. All right, we will move on to the next question. Let's see, Sue, we'll give this question to you. In the beginning stages of project planning, how do we as Rotary members effectively approach partners to ask for their involvement in our projects?
Thank you, Lauren. I think it's about doing the groundwork within the community to carve out the project or the program. Once you have that needs assessment and plan in place, you can identify the who and the what. Then the power of the Rotary brand will open doors within that community and beyond. And finally, for me, it is authentic passion and belief, resilience and perseverance to achieve what you believe in for your project. Thanks, Lauren.
Thanks so much, Sue. Really excellent points. All right, moving on to our next question. Hawa, we'll go back to you on this one. How do we effectively engage with the media as partners in our projects?
Thank you for this question. This is such an important question that most clubs fail to think about when planning their projects. Working with the media is essential and important in getting our message out there. A lot of the times we do not involve the media at the beginning or middle parts of the project, and we wait till the end just to showcase what we've done. This really rubs the media the wrong way. And so I ask all clubs to be intentional about your media platforms. Be intentional about the media platforms you choose to engage. Awareness from publicity and promotion is important to keep the conversation going. The media should be aware of the project goals and details from inception and be carried along throughout. Have a clear message. Now, to help you, you can prepare press releases in advance to support what you want the media to be able to project. This is essential and great to be able to make sure that we get the right message out there.
Great, thanks so much, Hawa. Wade, we'll come back to you. In your experience, what have been some successful ways to maintain relationships with partner organizations?
It's all a matter of investing time and energy when building these relationships. This includes during the project research, project planning and development, and the implementation and maintenance of these projects. If you're there for them, as opposed to them being there for you, you'll be respected a lot more and will have the opportunity to build these lasting relationships and partnerships. This is true also for corporations and governments. It's all about you performing to help them out. You are a partner for their cause.
Thanks, Wade. Really wonderful points. So we'll move on to some additional questions. Sue and Howa, I'd like to actually pose this question to both of you. Sue, maybe you could start, and Howa, you can follow up after her. But we've talked a lot about engaging Rotaractors and interactors as partners in our projects. And there's been some questions around how do we go about engaging Rotaractors or interactors? Maybe for some clubs who maybe don't have strong relationships with those clubs right now, how do you start that process? So Sue, do you want to kick us off, and then we'll go to Howa for her thoughts as well?
Sure, thanks, Lauren. In terms of our program and the Rotary Family Health Days, we work through the structures, the Rotary structures within the countries in which we operate. So we would start at a district level. We then have an in-country steering committee level, and then they have Rotarians who are allocated certain roles and responsibilities within that steering committee structure. And one of them is always to take Rotaractors and interactors as part of one of the stakeholders. So in short, we work through the Rotary structures in the countries in which we operate.
Great, thanks, Sue. Howa, do you want to expand on your experience in this?
Okay, so from my experience, I would say that as Rotarians, most Rotary clubs have communities that they like working in or they have already previously adopted. And so in doing this, when you get into the community, it's wise to figure out who is the youth leader, what schools are in that community, who is the woman leader, who is the chief, who is the town crier. When you know those essential key stakeholders and gatekeepers of the communities, you can reach out to them and see if they're interested in building a stronger team, which is in build. So for example, we build RCCs, Rotary Community Corps. Within your adopted communities or the communities you want to work in, it is important. I can't even emphasize how important it is to gather members of that community and create a Rotary Community Core group. These groups they help save time, they help build manpower hours, because they help in the project. So as Rotary clubs, many Rotarians are busy with their classifications and cannot attend all community projects. But when you have RCCs within the communities, or you have Rotaract, a community-based Rotaract within the communities, it does really increase the number of people that are involved in your project. And again, as I keep emphasizing, it increases the sustainability of the project because you are working with the beneficiaries of the community. And that is, all I can say is wow for your projects.
Thanks, Howa. Relatedly, one of the questions we also received was how can we help a Rotary club develop a local Rotary Community Core? And I think you've talked about how you can do that by engaging in local leaders. Is there anything else you'd like to add in terms of a best practice for organizing and working with RCCs?
With RCCs, we have to look at them as partners, just as we have to look at Rotaractors as partners and interactors as partners. A lot of clubs sometimes fail in these partnerships because they chatter them and then they ignore them, rather than chattering them and, grooming them and, to be able to groom them the way you will groom your own Rotary club. If you chatter an Interact club, RCC club, or Rotaract club, you need to groom them, and it's in grooming them that you get the best out of them. If you're creating t-shirts for your Rotary club, also create t-shirts for your community-based clubs like your RCC, your Rotaract, and your Interact. If you're creating the way you create structures for your board, teach them as well how to create structures for their board. Ensure that you're involved in their elections, just as the way we do our elections in the clubs. When you do things like that, you are growing the leadership of the community and definitely building interest in those groups to be able to execute all the projects that come into their community. I hope that covers it all.
Awesome. Yeah, really good examples of how Rotary clubs can take action around that. Thank you. Wade, I'm going to transition back to you. We received a question that was asking, for clubs who may not have some of the Rotary project planning resources available in their own districts, such as maybe a district resource network or a cadre, are individual clubs able to call on resources in other districts?
I assume that's a question for me. The answer would be yes, without a doubt. I think the easiest way and best way is to reach out to whoever you see on the screen here. We would also be able to assist you with any resources you have or you would need. Thank you. Now back to me. As a wrap up, please tell us in chat one action item you'll take with you as a result of this webinar. And Lauren, given time, hopefully you could read a few of those suggestions or action points.
Thanks, Wade. Yeah, we'll wait for some of the responses to roll in. What are some actions you're going to take as a result of this webinar? Organize a training on partnerships. That's a great action. Talked about giving lots of different ideas on how to interact with host countries and developing community partners. Talked about attending project fairs, partnering locally, getting familiar with project planning tools, and proactive engagement of media. All really great actions. Thank you for sharing. Wade, I'll hand it back to you.
All right. With that, this is a wrap up. I would first like to thank Lauren for putting this together. Outstanding job. By the way, we didn't mention the staff behind this. We have a full team of people working behind the scenes here, making sure that these webinars are pulled off correctly. I'd also like to thank our amazing panelists. Hawa, Sue, thank you for your time, your energy, and your expertise in sharing your experiences. We hope you enjoyed the webinar and received a few takeaways. We also hope that you'll join us in the next webinar in the series, that is Measuring Results, Demonstrate Your Impact, which is scheduled for May 4th. Thank you all for attending. We hope you got something out of this. Again, feel free to reach out to us at any time. We'd be happy to help serve anything you want to do, any projects you have. With that, goodbye for now. Thank you. We hope to see you all very soon. Please, again, stay in touch with us because you are doing the great work for Rotary. Thank you all very much, and we will see you at the next one.